Bellmouth boys and airbrake betties. Burnish up your blast pipe. Disregard the detonator of warning. And, damn, look at the caboose on that locomotive. Toot toot.
Last call for Talk Tull to me. Did you hear that thunder? Yeah.
Nope.
It happened right at Talk Tull to me. It's very foreboding.
Oh, great. Nice.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the podcast. I am Omen Thomas Sade.
And I am Nick McGill.
Together, we are the Feckless Momes.
And this, my tiny little bathroom's tucked in the corner, is Talk Tull to me.
A 600 horsepower mega engine roaring through the tunnels of prog rock, in which Northern type Nick and out to foul Omen will shovel into the dull firebox of our brains each and every standard gauge song that runaway rock band Jethro Tull have ever semaphored from their side tank. We will fondle the freight wagon of Florian Opal, dog spike David Goodyear's Doodlebug, and signal Scott Hammond to shunt himself onto the shoe fly. And if we can placate the porter, enumerate the knuckles, and de-mothball the maglev, we might just achieve a high-speed mailbag pickup from the headstock hornpiper, the decapod of the duettino, the 605 express line to our hearts, a man so aroused by trains he's not allowed within 100 meters of a terminus, Ian, I'm here to lubricate your gauge nut, Anderson. Nick, you are experiencing some very exciting weather there in upstate New York, are you not?
Yes, it is a really wet spring. Wet spring this year. Mm-hmm. I'm very jealous. Today, it was, before this thunderstorm rolled in about an hour ago, it was pretty sunny. Not warm, but it was pretty sunny. So the neighbors on either side were mowing their lawns, and I was very jealous because my lawn is a goddamn swamp.
Yeah, you should get one of those boat mowers.
We're looking to just get enough plants to plant around that will either A, soak up the water, or 2, take up the space so I don't need to mow.
Have you considered kelp?
I should. I really should. A kelp farm? Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a very special thing today, Nick, and what is that thing?
Well, it's been long enough in our run.
Yeah.
We have not recently dabbled on the topic of trains.
Trains! I was actually going into locomotive withdrawal.
And that's when you get locomotive breath, and it's, by the time you get the locomotive breath, it's often too late.
I was in the Home Depot and they were like, stop eating the charcoal.
I have to power. I need Charlie. The handle, it's been stolen.
Today we're talking about Chapter 7, The Engineer.
Engineer, 1847, ladies and gentlemen.
I thought you were going to say 18 minutes long.
18, oh God, feels like it. No, that's not until we get to Drink from the Same Well on the next album.
1847, lots happening. We were talking in the last song about how the transition from Roman roads to carriage roads to trains was kind of a theme of this part of the album, and now we're getting into the train lines.
Right, yeah, exactly. We were talking about the Turnpike, and then I believe, chronologically, we figured out that when Turnpike Inn takes place in 1750, the first steam train in London was like 1804 or 06.
Yeah, so about 50 years away, give or take.
And then now we're jumping ahead about 70 years from that. Wow, it's coming down. Can you hear that?
Oh, yeah. Is this going to be okay for your audio?
I can filter it out, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, noise remove it. And if not, it's ambient, right? It sounds good.
It's ambient, yeah.
It's ambient. This is the sound of a train. The rain train.
It's actually Ambien.
Ambient? Oh, today has been very funny because of all of the Ambien I've taken.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're trains are coming into existence, and now we have to do things with those trains, I think is what we're getting at with this song.
We weren't going to give the history of Britain and not touch on trains in an album written by Ian Anderson.
Ian would have been remiss had he not.
Actually, we would have had to have been, if this album had came out without a trains track on him, we would have been like, what have you done with the real Ian Anderson? Where are you keeping him?
Are you feeling okay, Ian? Is something wrong? Is this a silent cry for help? Trains.
Trains. Why don't we listen to this 3-minute and 12-second track on the track? Let's get it on the track.
Let's do it. Toot toot, the engineer.
Nick McGill.
Omen.
Quite a spirited piece.
There's a vim behind this piece, for sure.
It's vimmering. It's vimmering on a low heat.
It's Vim Wenders? Isn't that a director? Vim something?
Vim Vimini, Vim Vimini, Vim Vim Varoo. Quite an interesting track here.
Yeah.
Very impassioned, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Took me a couple listens to really start to dig it, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I would say there is a, sometimes with prog rock, the tune, the melody, as it were, is a little obscured. It's hard to get into. I would say this isn't a song that you're going to necessarily shout along to or sing along to in the car.
Yeah. Are you saying that this one is difficult to get the melody on?
I found it just on this listen a little hard to kind of grasp a hold of the melody, which is the case with a lot of, with a number of Tull songs.
Yeah, right.
But it doesn't have there's not a distinct lick or riff that sticks out to me as like, oh yeah, that's the kind of thing. That's the part of the song that we're always coming back to.
Yeah, I think I can hear like one or two like little minor versions of that, but nothing that's like clearly that lick that is designed to be the earworm.
Really fun intro. We have the flute right off the bat, the drums and the guitar all playing in unison.
And the accordion.
And the accordion right off the bat? I thought that came in a little bit later. No? Okay,
no, I think it's in there. That's interesting. That lasts about 8 seconds, 8 or 9 seconds. And it lasts longer than I feel like a normal like ramp up intro would. And because of that, because it's so uniform and railroady, honestly,
yes,
it becomes mesmeric, and I lose track of the instruments in there. By the end of that, like 8-10 seconds, I'm just like, this is a vehicle. I don't know what I'm hearing anymore. I'm just going along with it.
Yeah, and I think that's intentional and very effective.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Just a note. This kind of, the way this one starts, like kind of abruptly, you think, does it lead in from the last song?
Right.
Does it lead in from Turnpike? Kind of. I mean, I can see how it's kind of a logical transition, but it's not like Turnpike ends abruptly and then picks up immediately with
right.
Engineer. It's not one of those like we just cut the track and it's two of the same piece.
Right.
But it kind of works. It's an interesting flow change.
The Turnpike Hill.
Thematically, I feel like it's appropriate to have, okay, the world is this way for so long, and then rather suddenly trains burst onto the scene.
Sure.
And I remember, there were accounts, of people when they first saw trains just being pretty shocked and terrified. And
I bet, yeah.
One of the very first commercial films, films that was shown to the public for money, is called The Train Something. It's about a train. And there's one shot where the train is coming directly at the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And there are reports of people watching that in the cinema for the first time. Keep in mind, cinema was very early, on in those days.
Yes.
But people would jump out of their seats, in the theater to try to avoid getting hit by the train because this felt so powerful.
That's so amazing to think of that technology. I mean, I guess it's like, for us, it's like someone like flinching or dodging when they're doing VR,
Yeah, totally. So you said the date on this track is 1847.
Correct, 1847.
It is worth noting that there had been precursors to train lines. So the 1840s was the big railway boom in Britain.
Okay.
But there had been wooden wagonways, which are essentially precursors to train tracks, as early as the 1560s.
Wow.
They built wooden tracks and wagons that had dimensions on their wheels that would fit on those tracks, and that could be pulled by a donkey or a horse more easily than if it had just been on the road.
Huh. So it's kind of like the Erie Canal in a sense that it's stuck on this singular path and it's being pulled by a pack animal.
In a way, yeah.
Interesting.
And don't you ever call me a pack animal again.
You're a lone wolf? Is that what you want? Is that what you're...
I'll never be your beast of burden. Okay, so musically, there's tons of squeeze box.
Yes, very fun.
This song might be the saturation point for the accordion.
The squeeze boxiest?
It's... I don't think that even with a shoehorn, you could get more squeeze box into this song. Not without a doctor's note.
Trust me, I'm a professional. Unless it was clearly an accordion song.
Right.
The accordion was taking the center stage of the song.
If it, instead of being called the engineer, it was called the accordion, maybe you could get a little bit more, but actually maybe you'd want less.
The accordioneer. Yeah.
The accordioneer. We have, at about 20 seconds, I don't know if you clocked this, maybe it was just my headphones, but the bass is really audible and really, really delightful.
Yeah, that's when it opens up.
100 picks and 36.
So it's in that, it's got that like 8 to 10 seconds of intro drone. Then it kind of like pulls out into this intro feel of like, this is kind of how the song is going to go.
All along the new straight track we plow the old fields under. 7 good feet and a quarter-inch broad rails to steal the thunder.
And then at that 20 is when it really opens up and stuff gets heavier. That's when we get the bass. That's when we get, I think the drums open up more as well there.
Yeah.
But it opens up and it gets heavier and really fully blossoms into the beautiful song that we saw growing up.
That we've known from a trainling.
Yeah.
It is interesting to see the evolution of the train song. I mean, I wonder what if we went back in the discography, what the very first Tull song that is definitely about trains is about. Is it Locomotive Breath? I'm sure there's ones that are before that at least mention trains.
I don't know. Well, Locomotive Breath is near the end of that album, and that album also has
Cheap Day Return.
Yeah, Cheap Day Return is before that, but I think that might be the first. Because I really don't think it's on Stand Up or This Was. There might be a reference in Benefit, but I don't think so off the top of my head.
It's probably a reference within a song more than a song about.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Well, interesting to look at the whole, the history of train songs in Tull. There's probably an album's worth of songs about trains. We could release Ian could release the Just Trains, the Oops All Train songs.
The Tull Trains album, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Back to the Family might mention going out and taking the train out, possibly.
It probably does.
Yeah.
There's an interesting, so when we get into the lyrics, it's the thing that stands out to me about Ian's performance on this song is just the raw passion. He is clearly singing about something that he is very, very fond of and excited about.
Yep.
And excited to tell us about.
Yep. He's going to phone it in for climate change, for his beloved, for Christmas and the church.
When it
but
gets
trains,
to trains,
oh, buckle
look
up
out.
and put down a tarp. Get ready.
There's a really interesting moment where he sings, "Oh," at somewhere in there. And I'm pretty sure that there's definitely double Ian voice on there, but there may also be a little extra, another human in there.
Yeah, I'd have to listen to it again, but it's certainly much more textured than just a standard Ian making a noise, And honestly, when's the last time we heard Ian make a noise? When's the last time we heard a vocal ejac like this?
This album has been very non-ejaculative.
Mm-hmm. And the last couple. I mean, I can't remember the last time he's been so moved.
I haven't ejaculated once.
There's something wrong with this album.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. He's laid off of that style of performing.
Yeah.
It's cool to hear it kind of jump in there.
Yes. Yeah, it really does add a fun, nice flavor to it. And like you said, it really hammers home that idea of the passion behind this song.
It's Scott Hammond's at home. I really love actually what Florian is doing in this song. I wish that we could hear it a little bit better. I'm struggling with the accordion. I mean, John O'Hara's playing it amazingly, of course. It's not a performance issue. It's just, I think that if I were to have my druthers, which I'm not allowed, because
not until you finish your peas.
Yeah, they're bad for my cholesterol. But I would want to hear the accordion tone back just a little bit, because I think what Florian is doing is so fun in this song.
Yes.
And I'm not like, I'm rarely like a let's hear more of Florian type listener, but I think I love what he's doing. There's a part early on where you get to hear a couple of his licks, and it's like really fun rock and roll.
Yeah. And unfortunately, normally we have like a really good balance of everybody on this kind of layer cake of sound, with everybody has their own layer. But in this one, the accordion and the guitar are really kind of on the same layer cake layer here. They're both vanilla and they're butting heads. And sometimes you pick out the one and sometimes you can pick out the other, but they're not playing nice like a lot of the times we have the instrumentation.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting note.
Yeah.
At about 1 minute 30 seconds, we get a wonderful flute breakdown, and it's
the breakdown.
Very successful.
Yes.
It's very successful. Ian has put...
No, go ahead.
No.
I was just right before the breakdown at 1:15, we transitioned into piano.
Oh, wow.
We get a little piano instead of the accordion. And then Ian has a filter on his voice for that verse.
On casted iron that engineer God left it in hard. Piston scraping, furnace busting, plays the winning chord.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, building the texture really delightfully.
Yeah. And then now at 1:30, that breakdown. Sorry, continue.
The breakdown is really fun. I really, there's a lot of passion in Ian's fluting. It feels reminiscent of an earlier era of Tull.
Yeah, it does.
The way that he's playing the flute on this track. And there's a lot of trading off between the flute and other instruments. Sometimes it trades off between the flute and the flute.
And the flute. Flute. Pass to the accordion. Okay, great. Back to the flute. Pass to Florian. Okay, great. Flute. Stand back, guys. I got this. Flute.
Yeah. Ian steps up the mic and says, "And now, Ian Anderson."
Ian Anderson. Special guest, Ian Anderson.
Me. But he does pass it off. There's some great, like you said, accordion, some really fun guitar moments in there. And then we go back into that very kind of complex structure of the verses.
Yes, back into the sound where it does looks like at about 20 seconds, where it picks up into the place where it opens up into that rock sound.
Yeah. Really fun. A fun track bringing energy to the album at this point. Where you said we're 14 tracks? 15?
15, yep. So we're pretty much halfway at this point.
We're just about halfway. here, and so it feels like the middle of the album.
Yeah.
But in a way where you're not like, oh, it's the middle of the album. You're like, oh,
Yeah, not the slog. Yeah.
it's fun.
Yeah. If we were thinking about it vinyl-wise, it feels like a good wrap-up to side one.
Yes. Yeah. Engineer, flip the disc,
Yeah.
and then we'll come in with Pax Britannia.
Yeah. After that, the breakdown, we go back into the normal. We have a fake ending. We have a false ending here. So at about 2:15, we start to wind out. We get some nice piano.
Home to the maker and his last 2 miles to sleepy Kensal Green.
Fades out, stop. Only the briefest beat, though, because then it picks right back up. And the pick up, what leads us back into it, is some really fun snare.
To sleepy Kensal Green.
It's really fun. It's just snare for like the briefest of moments. It's really cool. It's a really nice little touch.
Very mechanical. I mean, there is a mechanical edge to this song.
Yeah. As Ian is so good at. And maybe we are just placebo applying the effect because we think it is. But he's so good at embodying the overall idea of the song in a sonic form.
Yes.
And maybe we just think we hear trains because we think Ian is doing trains.
Yeah, but I feel like you're right, and I also feel like there is just that kind of, it has a trainy feel to it.
Yeah, right. And whether he's intentionally doing it or not, it doesn't matter. This is how we interpret it.
That's right. Nothing matters.
Nothing matters anymore.
It's all trains.
It's all trains. Trains all the way down. I would classify this song not as folk rock, but as rock folk.
Tell me more about that distinction.
I would think, if you want folk rock, you go to like Heavy Horses or Songs from the Wood, right?
Sure. Yeah. Very distinctly, the folk is it's a folk structure being filtered through a rock and roll lens.
Right. But this is clearly a rock song. But there's something about having the accordion all the way through, not just as like a little flavor here and a little flavor there, which they do very regularly, works great. I'm not saying it doesn't work here now, but because of that accordion, it makes it feel like it's trying to like have just the flavor of folk.
Yeah.
It's a folk train.
It's a folk train. It's a soul
not the
train.
Soul train. It's the folk train.
Yeah. Yeah. After I was thinking about what that show would look like, and I think it'd be a lot of clogging.
Yeah, Morris dancing, probably.
A lot of Morris dancing. Everybody get folky. I think that this is perhaps qualifiable as a new genre of rock and roll, which is locomalia.
Train rock.
Train rock. It's part of the train rock subgenre.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Created and only contributed to by Ian Anderson.
What about Crazy Train by Going Up the Rails on a Crazy Train? Is that Ozzy Osbourne?
Ozzy Osbourne. Black Sabbath. Yeah.
Black Sabbath.
Yeah. Black Sabbath.
What about This Train Don't Carry No Ramblers, This Train. This train don't carry no ramblers, this train.
That's an old folk song, though, isn't it?
It's an old folk song.
Okay, yeah.
The old folks love it.
Put on this train!
We worn out the disc, Gerald.
Where are my mushy peas?
Are you hungry? You've mentioned peas twice.
Have I?
Yeah. There's also... I hear that train a-coming.
Oh, yeah.
It's rolling round the bend.
Johnny Cash.
Yeah. Yep. The Chattanooga Choo Choo.
Yes.
City of New Orleans is about a train.
Sounds like it's about the city of New Orleans.
The city of New Orleans is a
train.
Is a train. Mama from the Train, Marrakesh Express. Me and Bobby McGee. Don't know how that's a train song.
You don't know what they do on that train.
They put a penny on the tracks.
Oh.
Homeward Bound. Sorry, Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Folsom Prison Blues. That's right. There's lots of songs about trains.
None quite have the feel that Ian presents with his train songs, though.
I agree.
Like, all those other songs are about trains, but Ian's songs are...
Is a train.
Trains, right? Like, they are trains.
Yeah. Oh, The Ballad of Casey Jones.
Correct.
Peace Train, Cat Stevens. Poor Patty Works on the Railroad. Poor Pitiful Me. Interesting. On the Atchison, Topeka, and the Santa Fe. Lyrics by Johnny Mercer, 1944. Trains. Locomotive Breath is on here, on this list.
But Locomotive Breath is a song about a train. The song isn't a train. I don't think it qualifies as Ian's train music. It doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like it's quite...
Locomotive Breath?
It doesn't feel...
Wait, let's say it again. Locomotive Breath?
It doesn't feel like he's hit his peak zeal in trainery at that point.
He was pre-addict.
Yeah, exactly. He was dabbling in trains back then.
There's a great Taj Mahal song. She caught the caddy and left me a mule to ride. A caddy is a type of train.
Oh, okay. Thought it was the golf caddy.
She caught the golfer.
And she ran away with him. That's what I was thinking.
The caddy refers to the Missouri, Kansas, Texas Railroad.
Got it.
She caught the caddy and left me a mule to ride. That's how Taj Mahal sings.
Sounds great. Is that your Duke Silver?
Yes. I'm a secret nighttime blues saxophonist.
Yeah.
I would never play the saxophone. There are certain things that I won't do.
Yeah, you say that.
Yeah.
Because then we would be less likely to suspect that Taj Mahal is Oman Said.
There are likelier second lives for me.
That's super valid. But again, only because...
It's the most unexpected ones that you got to look out for.
It's the facade. Are you really, what is the facade? Is it the blues player or is it really Oman?
Which is real? Which is the mask?
Yeah.
Don't look in that closet. It's full of harmonicas.
That guy's got harmonicas in his closet. Yeah.
Nick, shall we talk about the lyrics of The Engineer?
I think that's a good idea.
There's a lot going on in this song, lyrically.
There is, but it's kind of matter-of-fact, descriptive-y.
Why the term The Engineer? Where does that come from?
The engineer is the one who runs the engine.
Ah, very good.
The engine of the train.
The engine runner, yeah.
Yeah.
Often in train stories of heroism, in heroic train stories, the engineer is the last one on. If the train is going to do something bad, the engineer stays with. An engineer always goes down with his train.
Yes.
Is the saying.
Super common saying, yeah.
Normal saying.
Yep.
Casey Jones, what did he do? He made his train go too fast. Casey
Yes,
Jones.
probably. He drove his train off the track. Is that what it was?
He was noted for his exceptionally punctual schedules, which sometimes required a degree of risk. Although that was not a factor on his fatal last journey.
No. What was the fatal last journey then? He was walking to the bathroom and slipped on a banana peel.
They collided with a stalled freight train in Mississippi.
Mississippi's lousy with those.
Yeah.
All over the place.
Approaching Vaughn at high speed, he was unaware of the 3 trains were occupying the station, one of which was broken down directly in his line.
Oof.
Some claim that he ignored a flagman, but maybe he didn't see him.
So is he an actual person, or is he
Yeah.
one of those like Paul Bunyan?
No, this is a real thing.
Oh wow.
And he's thought of as heroic because even though he did crash into it and kill himself, he saved the lives of his passengers by staying in the cabin and slowing the train down enough. But in doing so, he sacrificed himself because he was at the front of the train.
Oh, okay. And you couldn't just like pull the brake and run, like you had to be manually there hauling on the brake.
Correct.
Yeah.
And he could have made the choice to throw himself out of the train and, let everyone else crash and burn.
Saved no one else but him.
Right.
Yeah.
It was literally that ethics problem.
It was the trolley problem, yeah.
It was the trolley problem.
Yeah.
What's the problem with trolleys? The engineer, all along the new straight track. Oh, a reference to
Solstice Bells.
Solstice bells.
Yes.
All along the new straight track, we plow the old fields under.
All along the new straight track we plow the old fields under.
Okay, we have new and old.
Yes.
We have straight. We have fields.
Already I love this. The mention of the most important lines prior to this are the ley lines, the lines that transfer power and have significance. They're being replaced by these steel tracks, these metal tracks.
Yeah.
Steel is inherently anti-mystical. It burns fairies, things like that.
Well, and in the early days, it was wrought iron, which is even more tied into that whole idea.
Yeah. And plowing the fields under of, well, we moved here and stationed ourselves here because it was good land. It was fertile land.
Uh-huh.
And that was the progression. And now, for progress's sake, we're tearing up these farms. And
now my farm is a trainway.
the farm on the trainway.
The farm on the trainway.
There it is.
There's also, if we're tracking through the album, we have, maybe first the ley lines, and then we would have a little walking path, and then we might have the Roman roads, and then we would have the carriage roads, and now we have the train tracks.
Yes.
It's this evolution of the paths. It's really cool. And then, and then we'll get those paved over by motorways.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting progression so far. I really, like always, I'm so glad that we're actually tearing apart these lyrics, because I never would have put these together.
Totally. 7 good feet and a quarter inch, broad rails to steal the thunder.
7 good feet and a quarter inch, broad rails to steal the thunder.
All right, we're immediately into something which has been quite a drama in the history of trains and the history of the world. What are the dimensions that you should make your tracks? How far apart should they be, and also how wide should the individual tracks be?
Right, because you want a universal system of everybody following the same numbers.
That would certainly make it easier to transfer trains from one country to another.
And it would make it easier for the producers to only have to do one type.
But at the early stages, they were like, well, we're going to do whatever makes sense to us. And because trains started with these, small little networks that were not connected up, could be, this one could be this, and this could be this, and this could be this other size.
Right.
When my grandfather was in the Middle East during World War II, he was an intelligence agent for the British. And one of the main things that he did was spy on the Russian allies.
Wow.
Because the Brits and the Russians were trying to coordinate materials and, and supplies and things to be transferred. But the Russians were so paranoid that they wouldn't disclose what gauge their railroad tracks were.
Wow.
And so he had to go and find out, and then be like, okay, here's what we're going to do. And he was an architect and, and very, very engineerly minded.
Yeah.
That contributed to some transfer of materials that helped, aid the war effort. But I just think it's hilarious that they were like, no, you will not know. Yet you will not know the size of our train lines. We'd like to give you something. Yes, we accept. What's your mailbox? That is classified information.
Just give it to me. I'll pass it along.
I send someone in night.
Meet under one single street light we have in Russia.
Okay, which street lamp? We cannot tell you! Oh, my God. 100 picks in 36 sent navies to meet their maker.
Navies.
Sent navies to meet their maker as Black Box Tunnel worms its way past the company undertaker.
100 picks and 36 sent navvies to meet their maker. As Black Box Tunnel worms its way past the company undertaker.
Okay, this one sounds like it's referencing something very specific, and it's lost me a little bit.
A navvy is a laborer employed in the excavation and construction of a road, railroad, or canal.
Oh, so 36 must have been
the year
that they were excavating the tunnels, the box tunnels.
Yeah.
And sounds like a lot of people died.
I mean, I imagine, any sort of excavation that is just people with pickaxes, it's not exactly the safest. I mean, even now with advanced machinery, it's not exactly great.
The box tunnel passes through Box Hill on the Great Western Main Line between Bath and Chippenham. It is a 1.83 mile long tunnel, and it was the longest tunnel in the world, longest railway tunnel in the world when it was completed in 1841. So it sounds like it took
5 years,
to build
a mile and a half.
Almost 2 miles. Yeah.
2 miles. Yeah.
Wow.
Bonkers. The idea of what humanity will do in the name of progress to continue on, they'll just throw lives. It's like all of the battle scenes in Lord of the Rings where all of the orcs just keep throwing themselves, and eventually they get up on top of the castle wall. Yeah. Eventually they get through Box Hill, but it takes a lot.
Lighting was only provided by candles. They went through a ton of candles per week, and they went through a ton of explosives per week.
Whoa.
And blasting took place while the workers were in the tunnel, which has been attributed to a lot of the deaths.
That would make sense.
Yeah, but they didn't want to, set it, run the line a mile out, get everyone out of the tunnel, and then blast, and then have everyone go back in.
Time is money.
Time is money. Wow.
Then that tells you time is more valuable than your life and your life and your life.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, great. Wonderful.
So the idea of the company undertaker as well. The company responsible would have had their own, may have had their own people on staff, including, the idea that they would have had an undertaker on staff.
Right, yeah.
Underlines that deaths were so common.
Yeah.
So then we get to hard cast in iron, that engineer, God bless Isambard.
Hard cast in iron, that engineer, God bless Isambard.
Now, I thought that initially, I thought that said Isengard, going back to your idea of orcs. But who's Isambard?
Isambard Kingdom Brunel.
Amazing name.
It was an amazing man. He was an English civil engineer and mechanical engineer, lived from 1806 to 1859, so not that long.
No.
But he was prolific. He was the brilliant engineer mind of his time. I mean, this guy came up with dockyards and the Great Western Railway, proper noun, capital G, capital W, capital R, steamships, including the first purpose-built transatlantic steamship.
Wow.
Numerous important bridges and tunnels. His designs revolutionized public transport and modern engineering. And even though a lot of his stuff failed, he was brave enough to do it.
Yeah.
And it's still like they learned lessons and were able to take from those failures and build on it.
He built a tunnel under the Thames, which hadn't even been considered, like it was just inconceivable. And that tunnel is still in use.
Yeah, he's one of those once in a generation, just utterly brilliant minds. He's such a fascinating character. He's what Elon Musk wants to be.
If he had any sense, he would want to be.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't know who Isambard Kingdom Brunel is, but he thinks that he's the great mind of our generation.
Right, exactly. And, possibly we don't know everything about him. Maybe he wasn't a very nice man, but who knows?
True. It's true. I mean, it's not outside the realm of possibility that is the case.
Oh, wow. He accidentally inhaled a half sovereign while doing a magic trick.
That's the best story I've ever heard.
At the suggestion of his father, Brunel was strapped to a board and turned upside down. The coin was jerked free.
Wow! That's the more impressive magic trick.
Yeah.
They shook it out of him. Like a bully and lunch money.
Yeah. So, we have multiple references to Isambard in this song.
Yeah, and that, what we just started with, the verse with Isambard is essentially our chorus.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the repetition. We see that 3 times. We also have, I feel like it's a reference to Aqualung with piston scraping.
That's very much.
It's gotta be, right?
Yes.
Furnace busting plays the winning card.
Piston scraping, furnace busting plays the winning card.
Plays the winning card. So he's always coming out on top, and trains are always coming out on top. This technology this advancement always has the upper hand over everything else.
Right.
Rain, steam, and speed at Maidenhead, Turners vision wide, over bridges, girders, hot-driven rivets safely guide. Passenger wagons from Paddington to Bristol's briny blue.
A rain, steam, speed at Maidenhead, Turners vision wide. Over bridges, girders, hot-driven rivets safely guide. Passenger wagons from Paddington to Bristol's briny blue.
Rain, Steam, and Speed at Maidenhead is a painting by William Turner.
Oh, okay.
It is on the subject of the Great Western Railway, which is, of course, what
Isambard created.
Mr. Isambard.
Kingdom Brunel
the third of the Westshire
Esquire
took. Proud feat.
PhD.
One of his great projects was the Great Western Railway, and there's a painting by William Turner, and it really is quite amazing because in his typical style, it seems very vague until you really look at it, and then you see that it is an accurate depiction of how the light plays under atmospheric conditions, and you can see this big train track, you can see a bridge in the distance, and you can see a boat on the river, which it kind of puts it into perspective, and the train is just this kind of dark line. It's beautiful. I love Turner, but amazing that Ian kind of inserted that into the song. Paddington is, of course, Paddington Station in London. On to break the waves with 1,000 horses, turn the churning screw.
On to break the waves with 1,000 horses, turn the churning screw.
So this is, I think, a reference to a project of Brunel, which was to extend the Great Western Railway all the way to North America by using this huge ship that could actually take trains onto it. So he used a ship as an extension of a train line, which is insane.
Utter bonkers.
Crazy. The audacity of this man.
But that's the kind of thinking we need in London.
I guess.
In 1850.
Yeah. And Bristol is, of course, a big seaport on the west coast of the UK, where traditionally has shipping.
Yeah.
And we have the chorus again, hard, cast in iron that engineer. I love the idea of this Iron Man.
Iron Man. I think we're on to something.
Somebody should do something with that.
Write that down.
Next verse, but those bonny lads from way up north.
But those bonny lads from way up north.
And I love that in the spelling it is apostrophe OOP.
Yeah.
A bit of a dig at the accent.
At the northern accent, yeah.
Yep. Had to have the final laugh. The ripe new age was the standard gauge. 4 foot 8 1/2.
North had to have the final laugh. The right new age was the standard gauge, 4'8.5".
Whatever the gauge wars were,
Yep.
eventually it standardized down to 4'8.5".
Yeah, really interesting that he mentions the first one at 7'1/4".
Yeah.
In our first verse. It's interesting that he's giving us these two perspectives and like where it went in the trajectory.
And it's fascinating to think that, that was even a thing. Like, of course, as soon as you start thinking about it, as soon as you have any of those little facts, you're like, well, of course, it's a completely new technology. It's like when the internet started and the different file types were all the different file types. I don't know.
I would equate it more to cars driving on one side of the road or the other.
I've got it. It's the charging stations for cars.
Yep.
When electric cars first started coming out in the last decade, every single brand had its own particular charging.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to standardize it.
It's basically the one or Tesla right now.
And then it looks like, with the next line, and rolling out across all Europe, across the mad, bad empire world, came the age of steam and the engines roaring, bold brazen Jack unfurled.
And rolling out across all Europe, across the mad, bad empire world, came the age of steam and the engines roaring, bold brazen Jack unfurled.
Jack being the Union Jack, one could imagine.
Yeah, I'm assuming so.
I get the impression that the UK was ahead of other countries in terms of train technology. And so they were able to, by virtue of being ahead, kind of say, you know what, guys, this is the standard. If you want trains, you're going to have to go with our method. Otherwise, you're going to be on the outs.
Yeah, right. Right. And nationalism aside, I mean, it makes sense if somebody's already broken that ground and has been successful at it, do what they do.
It's also interesting that it went from such a wide set of tracks to such a relatively, it almost
Half of
halved.
it, yeah.
Almost, yeah. I wonder if that was to accommodate the urban use of trains. The narrower it is, probably the easier it is to lay, or the less space you need. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it turns better on a closer together track.
Not sure. Just don't know. Just don't know.
We're not engineers.
I'm not an FTN, so I wouldn't know.
I'm not an NTF.
I'm not an NFT.
Yeah, you can purchase me, but I hold no intrinsic value whatsoever.
So just like an NFT is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe I am an MFT.
Ooh.
Maybe I am a bored ape.
A bored ape?
That's a whole NFT thing.
Oh, okay. And then we get a tiny little wrap up. It's not even a full verse, but it's not really the bridge because our bridge is instrumental.
Right. Arching palaces at Priad Street.
Prayed
Street. Stand lofty and serene, home to their maker and his last 2 miles to sleepy Kensal Green.
Arching palaces at Praed Street stand lofty and serene, home to their maker and his last 2 miles to sleepy Kensal Green.
So Praed Street is where Paddington Station is. It's the
Yes.
it's the address of Paddington.
Mm-hmm.
And that must have been the first big central train station in London.
I imagine so, yeah.
Now, of course, there are a couple other ones.
Like big central train stations,
Yeah.
you're saying? Yeah. And Kensal Green is an area in northwest London. It's the resting place of Lord Byron's wife, half-sister, publisher, best man, and most faithful servant.
Wow, that person had a very, very close relationship with Lord Byron.
And some 24 of Charles Dickens's close friends and relations.
I imagine that it is also the resting place of
Isambard?
Isambard. To Isambard! The Ents march on Isambard.
On Isambard, Kingdom Brunel. Where is Isambard Brunel buried? Kensal Green Cemetery.
Shebang! Called it.
There is this really cool alternate history sci-fi series called Burton and Swinburne.
Okay.
And it deals with time travel, and it deals with historical characters of that era. I think both Burton and Swinburne are actual historical characters. But Isambard Kingdom Brunel is in there, and he's like an evil scientist who's trying to take over the world.
Oh,
and he
amazing.
put his brain into like this mechanical octopus body. It's very silly, but it's very cool. If you can stick through the full series, there's a lot of that. Like a really good time travel movie, you see instances of that you see on one perspective in the first book. You see them from a different perspective in like the third or fourth book because that person has gone in time. Very good, very fun series, very silly. And if you would like to listen to the audiobooks, the narration is fantastic. I forget who narrates them, but it's very, 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 very good. Highly recommended.
One of the things he tried, going back to Brunel, was an atmospheric railway. And I don't mean it was based on vibes. It was,
hey man, let's go ride the train.
oh, that's sweet.
That's
very
great.
chill.
Yeah.
What's the ticket price? Just like a thought.
Whatever. What are you thinking, man?
What you got in your pockets?
You got a paperclip? Give me that paperclip, man.
We'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all works out.
Yeah. I can't make change though. Sorry.
It doesn't have any stations.
It just goes forever,
It just
man.
goes in a circle.
As long as you're thinking.
Oh my God. Wait, I have to tell you this. Katie and my mom and I went kayaking on Sunday.
Ooh, nice.
It was really, really fun.
Yeah.
And as we were renting the kayaks, the teenager who worked there was clearly like giving the spiel that she gives to every single person. She was like, make sure you wear your life vest. And I was looking at the map and she said, so the river isn't a circle. Anywhere you go, you have to come back the same way to get here. And I was like, I just loved that. I was like, the river isn't a circle. It's not.
That's great. And that's lowest common denominator. She has to tell people that.
I was like, how many people got lost, came back, and were so mad and were like, I thought the river was a circle.
I thought I would come right back. It's not a lazy river, you dummy.
It's an actual river. The river is not a circle.
No.
So he had this idea. There was an extension on the Great Western Railway toward Exeter, or from Exeter to Plymouth. And instead of using locomotive engines...
Oh, this is the Vibe train.
This is the atmospheric.
The Vibe train, yeah. Okay.
The trains were moved by a system of vacuum traction, where pumps sucked air from a pipe in the center of the track.
Yeah.
And that somehow pulled the train along. It didn't really work. It worked a little bit. They got trains up to 70 miles an hour. And there were, they had pumping stations every 2 miles. I mean, it makes sense. If you can put the engine outside the train, that's great, because then your engine isn't on a train. You can just service it in place.
And it's also significantly lighter, so it's easier to move.
It's easier to move the train because you don't have the weight of the engine. Yeah, it makes total sense. I think that it seems like what the downfall of it was that they had to seal the pipes at various places.
Yes.
With flaps, and they used leather because that's what they had, because rubber wasn't really a thing yet.
Yeah.
And because leather falls apart and was eaten by rats, the whole thing
Oh, wow. Yeah.
fell apart in a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, what are some other trains? We've got the maglev, which is
Got the maglev.
same pole magnets, right? So the train has a north facing down and the track has a north facing up. So it's just sitting there, and you can, and I'm not sure how they propel it, but that's how you do that.
Well, the great thing is you barely need to propel it. Well, actually, what you can do is just reverse the magnets in succession. So, because if you say, okay, it's up and down like this, but then you twist it this way, now they're repelling forward. So all you have to do is reverse the last magnet in the line.
Yeah.
Keep enough of them upright to keep it suspended, but then there's zero friction because it's literally levitating, and so you don't need that much force.
That's really cool.
There are diesel trains. That's the big thing that is used mostly these days for commercial shipping, and the XCS here in America and Amtrak.
CSX.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you have dyslexia at this point. With all of the initialisms that I've heard over the last 25 years.
Let's not look too closely at it. There are the trams, which have electricity given to the engine from up above, where you have to be constantly in connection with those via a wire.
Yeah, which big tram system in San Francisco? Is that where it is?
Big tram system doesn't want you to walk.
Big tram. I feel like somebody else post-Isambard tried to get a vacuum tube system up and running. Isn't that how Elon wants to do his bullet train or whatever?
He's abandoned that.
Yeah, of course, because that would be useful. Where's it? Japan has super high-speed trains, super effective high-speed trains, I think.
I think those are maglev.
Oh, they are. Okay, yeah.
I'm pretty sure they are, yeah. Yeah, trains are fantastic. I think that we should invest more in them, and I share Ian's appreciation for them, although perhaps not his passion.
Yes.
I think that you need to love trains gently. I think that Ian has gone we need trains to be loved, but I think Ian takes it into a place where it's dark.
You need to respect the train like you respect a lion, a wild animal.
If you love some train, let it go. It'll come back to you because it's on fucking tracks.
Because it's on a circle. It's not a river, it's on a circle.
Nick, what are we having the pleasure of talking about next week here on the Talk to Me podcast?
Next week is the last track off of Chapter 1, Chronicles.
Yes.
We are on the Pax Britannica, 1815 to 1914.
Oh, lovely. And
lovely
indeed. For everyone who experienced it, especially those laboring under colonialism.
Right.
Under next week, I am brazenly unfurled, Omen Thomas Sade.
You said under next week.
Did I? What's wrong with me?
I don't know.
Until... It's those stares. I think they really took it out of me.
Yeah, right.
Until next week, I am brazenly unfurled. I'm brazenly unfurling my jack, Omen Thomas Sade.
I am plowing the old fields under. I am Nick McGill.
Together, we worm our ways past the company undertaker. We are the Feckless Momes.
This is a pair of bonny lads from way up north. Talk Tull to me.
Comrade, I am Sergei Medlev from the Western Railroad of Great Russia. Greetings.
Sergei, I am Igor Vostanovich.
Igor, I knew your name before I could see you because I have informations on your background in locomotives.
Yes. You are the representative from the West, is that right?
How did you know that information?
Because I have information of my own.
Oh, I see. Well, it is a great glory that we have the opportunity to unite all of the great country of Russia under one train system.
The tracks shall run from one side to the other, from the top to the bottom. Everyone shall take trains everywhere. It shall be a utopia.
From the St. Petersburg to the high steppes of the Mongols.
Siberia will be so populated with trains.
I bought my ticket yesterday for a train line that don't even exist yet.
That is how positive we are at the trains.
Now, down to brass tacks. Igor.
Sergey, tell me, what is it you need to know?
Vodka?
Please.
До свидания.
Goulash.
Now, you see, in west of Russia,
Da.
train tracks have, how you say, occupy space of a certain dimension. You know what I mean?
Da. Can I just say, it is a bit strange we are talking in English and we are too Russian.
That is so the other Russians cannot comprehend our language and steal our train secrets.
And I do not speak Western Russian, so
we have to use
the common language.
Common language of heavily accented English.
Da.
Yes.
Yes, your trains, they take up space, as one would expect.
So what I need to know is in the east of Russia, what is the dimension of your train tracks so that we can connect them in the middle with so smooth a transition of train. Vodka?
Da.
Nostrovia.
Lobster bisque. Why don't I understand what you are asking for,
Yes.
and I understand why you are asking for it.
You understand why.
But perhaps you give me your number.
I tell you what, I'm going to guess a number about your tracks, and you tell me if it is correct or incorrect, yeah?
Da.
Okay. 5.
Who told you?
Oh my goodness, you don't know I cannot tell you about my sources.
You have sources in Eastern Russia?
I have sources in Eastern Russia, I have sources in Northern Russia, I have sources in that part of Russia that is not so much north, not really east, it's sort of the middle. But it's not directly in the middle, and so you don't call it the middle Russia, you know what I mean.
Central Russia, maybe?
Yeah, Central, East Central, yeah, but everybody just calls it Popstranskovoiga.
Vodka?
Oh, yes, please. Gooey berry.
Stroganoff.
Now that we know the number associated with your train tracks, I just need to know one more thing.
Da.
What is the measuring unit that 5 number corresponds to? Is it American inches? Is it French centimeters? Is it biblical cubits? Is it the wastrel hairs off of a fruit fly?
It is none of those.
Oh, it is a secret measurement.
Da. How do you measure yours? I gave you my number.
Oh,
you
I
give me
cannot.
yours.
I cannot tell you
Tell
that,
me, you have
Igor.
to.
Igor.
Sergey,
Igor.
it is an exchange of information for the betterment of Mother Russia.
Okay. Well, I tell you this.
Tell me.
Our trains are not so big as a whale, but they are bigger than a gerbil. It's a range, I tell you.
Da. I can work with that. With that.
Yeah, we have to give something.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold my hand in a special way, and that is the thickness of the rail. You see how I hold my hand? You put your hand. Now we don't have to speak. Just put your hand up.
Yes, I touch it. I feel it.
So soft.
Oddly.
Wow.
Oddly soft hands I have.
Ay. Chugga choo choo.
It's been a long time since I felt the warmth of touch.
Yes, we work very remote jobs, you and I.
And there is no one around here.
No, not in mid-central northern Russia. Would you like some vodka?
Oh, Sergey, I like where you're heading with this. Let us have some vodka.
To your Dorka.
Ah,
A Dorka for a Gorka.
Rachmaninoff.
Okay, now we have only one last thing to discuss before we can unite the train lines and make Mother Russia so very, very happy about it and hold us to her bountiful bosoms.
Da. Mother Russia shall keep us safe and warm in these cold, cold times.
What is the podcast you like to listen to in the Eastern Russia trains? Because, we have our podcasts and we know you have your podcast. We don't someone want to be traveling and then suddenly have a big upset of podcast. Everyone jump off train, forget to pay ticket.
We listen to the one universal podcast. It is like it is like the Esperanto of podcasts. Everybody listens to it and loves it.
Why don't we? Because it's very interesting, you Sergey. You say that. I'm Sergey. Igor, it's very interesting you say that. More vodka?
No, I'm Igor. You're drunk.
Yes. Hello, drunk. I'm your father. No. So we don't want to. Why don't we both say at the same time the name of the podcast we are thinking of? And if it's the same one, we call it. This is like a Russian roulette. If we say different ones, we have to kill each other.
Perfect. I love it.
Okay. One more vodka for the road.
Okay.
Yateb blah blah blah.
Britney Spears.
3, 2, Odin.
Talk
to me, Igor. It's going to be the start of a beautiful friendship, which is also, by the way, a proud member of the Feckless Momzodian Network.
Come here, Sergey. I will show you my proud member.
Wow.